G'day everyone, Artist Wayne here with part 2 of the world famous Frozen Butt Adventure Ride. And you're now travelling with my mate Marcus as we all left the Hill End Lodge bright and early, and we made our way through the very pretty and slightly cold town of Hill End. We wound our way through the quiet streets for 10 minutes before we came to the bridle track. Now let's just quickly recap. The Frozen Butt Ride was the mastermind of a legendary man who goes by the name of Glenn Currow. It was a charity ride which included 45 riders, 14 adventure riders that loved to get dirty, one that loved to get wet, and the rest, along with Glenn, were on their road bikes. And the money raised this year would go to Cystic Fibrosis, New South Wales. And as you can see, the scenery on the bridle track was absolutely phenomenal. Our timing was perfect in the morning to see a beautiful misty landscape unfolding in front of us. And when we came to the bottom of the valley, we had our first river crossing. As you can see, the Turon River was pumping along quite nicely. Once we were across, we waited for the man who loves to go swimming with his DR, our mate Sam. But today, he did it like a boss. And as Dave and Jay made their way across, the only person to give us a little bit of a fright was Jay. But after yesterday's ride, we know how much Jay likes to get his feet wet. In mid-1800s Australia, there were many foot-worn trails like this that developed between towns and villages by walkers and horses. And these trails and tracks were often referred to as bridle tracks. The bridle referring to the horse livery, and the track generally distinguished it from a road or carriageway. The bridle track here is unusual in that it is still known as the bridle track, largely because it has remained relatively unimproved and much on its original alignment for more than a century, which of course is fantastic for us adventure riders. And here we see Dusty and Craig pointing to the fallen rock and telling us all, keep left, unless you want to end up at the bottom of the cliff. And look, care of Sam, there's a young Artist Wayne on his mighty DR 650, followed by Marcus on his BMW GS 800. Then we have Rian and Jerry on their big KDMs, followed by Sean on his KLR 650, Andrew riding his BMW, Bruce on his Honda Transalp, Billy Boy on a BMW, DR Dave, and last but not least, the man of the moment, the man who created the adventure side of the Frozen Butt Ride, Dusty Taylor. It wasn't long after this that Marcus decided to do a little stunt riding. He thought he'd see how far he could power slide his BMW 800 GS. And once the manoeuvre is completed, turn your ignition off, check out the skid, give yourself a clap, lift bike, all the while giggling like a little kid. In fact, when I think about it, Marcus was having quite a busy morning, because it wasn't long after that, as he rounded a bend, a bloody great big billy goat jumped out in front of him, and as you can see, the thing was carrying a large set of buffalo horns. We were now almost at the end of the bridle track and about to hit tarmac. Just one more little causeway to cross. Sam was still a little hesitant when it came to water crossings. DR Dave will show you how it's done, Sam. We were now all road riders, making our way towards Orange, and on the way we stopped at this beautiful place where time seemed to stand still, and it felt like we were perched on top of the world. But enough of that, we had more riding to do, more places to see, and some very special people to visit. And of course we were all happy because we were now riding on dirt. And as we edged closer and closer to the town of Orange, we were about to visit a special place that Dusty Taylor used to knock around in when he was just a little kid. We were now riding on Mount Canobolas, a mountain on a spur of the Great Dividing Range, located in the Central Tablelands region of New South Wales. An extinct volcano rising 1,390 metres above sea level. A state conservation area which offers bird watching, walking, scenic views, beautiful picnic areas and a great camping ground. And of course, it's perfect for adventure riding. And our first stop was on the very summit, which had a beautiful 360-degree view. Then we were off again on a fantastic track, which included a fun, slippery, muddy clay hill. Then it was time to leave the bikes and start hiking up a mountain. We were now making our way to Federal Falls, a spectacular large waterfall in the Boree Creek Valley just to the north of Mount Toak. Boree Creek plunges over the edge in a beautiful waterfall, and a cave has been eroded under the base of the falls. Absolutely magic and well worth the climb. And as Sam videoed us exiting the mountain like angry bull ants from a nest, he then organised a group photo for our next album cover. And remember that muddy hill I spoke about? Well, we headed off to catch up to Craig, who had perched himself at the top, ready to catch all the action. I came up first, followed by Marcus. Next was Jerry, who definitely gets the award for most spectacular hill climb. Although he did lose a few points for stalling the bike at the top. Next was Drew on his loud KTM, followed by Bill and Rian, who continued to carve up the hill until poor Sam had to walk his DR up. Then we were off to meet up with the road riders at Dusty's Uncle Kevin and Auntie Jenny's farm in Orange, and we got to meet Dusty's mum Margaret and his sister Jane, who gave each and every one of us a big hug. Dusty's wonderful family had cooked us a smorgasbord of pasta and curried sausages, rock cakes, coffee and tea. Their warm hospitality can only be described as absolutely amazing. And after that we headed back to the lodge. We had a wonderful dinner, a few drinks, lots of laughs. Glenn gave out plenty of prizes, but like all good things, they must come to an end. We were up bright and early to head home the following day. And to borrow the words of Glenn Currow, the man who created the Frozen Butt ride, two groups of intrepid motorcyclists braved the cold and rain, riding over an epic 3-day period, a total of more than 51,000 kilometres. They gave generously and raised a whopping $12,000 to support families battling cystic fibrosis. And I can't wait for next year's Frozen Butt ride.